Howdy y'all, my name is Caroline, and today we're talking about Attack of the Clones. Remember when Luke asked Ben, "You fought in the Clone Wars?" Without one line of dialogue, George Lucas not only made his universe more interesting, but he intrigued viewers. Fans didn't learn more about this legendary conflict until 2002, when Attack of the Clones was released. In one of the franchise's longest films, we cover a lot of ground. We see the romance develop between Anakin and Padmé, and how Anakin's fear of loss can take him into dangerous directions. We see more planets that we've ever seen before. There are allusions to mysterious characters like Cypher, and don't even get me started on the Battle of Geonosis. I could talk about it for days. But possibly most importantly, the war serves as a crucial element to Anakin's fall to the dark side. So Attack of the Clones is rich ground for lots of content, and we've gotten several writings, both legends and canon, written around that era. And so today we're going to cover that era's most important stories. So let's start off with canon novels. First up, we've got a very recent release with Queen's Hope by E.K. Johnston. This book is the finale to the Queen's trilogy and takes place right before Attack of the Clones ends. It opens with Padmé preparing for her wedding with Anakin, but the war has begun and they have little time to celebrate their new life together. Padmé is known for striving for peace throughout the galaxy and adjusts to how war has changed her office. The book also covers how the two navigate being newlyweds as well as hiding their secret marriage. We see more from her handmaidens who served with her when she was Queen of Naboo, and where their arcs have taken them now that war has begun. And we see a little bit more of the political side of the war that's not covered completely in the movie. Next up, we have another recent release with Brotherhood by Mike Chen. This novel explores the opening weeks of the Clone Wars. The Jedi are still finding their way as soldiers instead of peacekeepers. Padawans are promoted sooner than normal, including Anakin Skywalker, and Obi-Wan finds himself on the Jedi Council. No longer master and apprentice, the novel explores the changing relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan. The book deeply explores that business on Cato Nemoria that was only briefly alluded to in Revenge of the Sith. There are all kind of prequel-era cameos, including Padmé and Dex, and there are plenty of new characters to meet along the way, including a Nemoidian guard. This story connects the Obi-Wan and Anakin we see in Attack of the Clones to the ones we see throughout the Clone Wars, and it plants seeds for who they become in Revenge of the Sith. Now we're on to a personal favorite of mine, Dark Disciple by Christie Golden. This novel is a realization of an untold arc from the Clone Wars series. It follows Asajj Ventress after her falling out with her former master, Count Dooku. She's now working as a bounty hunter and finds herself teaming up with a member of the Jedi Council to take down her former master. Quinlan Vos is given the assignment and works with Ventress to stop one of Dooku's particularly destructive plans. Romantic feelings end up emerging between the pair, which complicates Ventress's efforts for revenge. As a personal side note, this book emotionally destroyed me in the best way. Now that I've gotten my personal tangent out of the way, it's time to move on to Legends novels. First up, we have The Approaching Storm by Alan Dean Foster. This prologue is set immediately before Attack of the Clones begins. Again, it covers events briefly mentioned in a line of dialogue. Before Obi-Wan and Anakin are assigned to protect Senator Amidala, they work with Master Luminara and her Padawan, Barriss Offee. They travel to a small planet where there's tension growing between urban and rural dwellers, with the faction in the city threatening to join the separatist movement. This novel truly offers a peek into how far the Republic has fallen in the 10-year gap between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. It also introduces a lot of new characters who play important roles in the upcoming conflict. So next up we have a bit of an obvious choice, but it's the novelization for Attack of the Clones by R.A. Salvatore. The novel not only recaps what we see on screen, but offers a more in-depth look and some deleted scenes. Readers learn more about background characters, there's more of a father-son relationship between Boba and Jango Fett, and we even see more of the Lars family and Shmi's relationship to her stepson Owen. And of course we see more about Anakin and Padmé's relationship. And so to get a fuller experience of Attack of the Clones, checking out the novelization is imperative. So now let's talk about Shatterpoint by Matthew Stover. It takes place 6 months after the Battle of Geonosis. Mace Windu travels to his home world to rescue his missing former Padawan, Depa Billaba. The novel covers all kinds of challenges he must face and takes a new look at ways of viewing the Force. The path that we see for Depa Billaba is very different from the one she has in canon, and the book brings into question just how much the Jedi will give up on their ideals to win the war. Next up, we have Republic Commando Hard Contact by Karen Traviss. This is the first in the Republic Commando series that ties into the video game of the same name. It introduces readers to 2 squads of clones, Omega and Delta. The rest of the novels follow them throughout the Clone Wars up to Order 66. Of course, we see Jango Fett and other clones, but Traviss also introduces new characters like a Mandalorian who trains elite units. It really explores the human side of the Grand Army of the Republic, and it addresses the morality of creating the clones in the first place. Odds are, if you read this one, you'll become one of the many fans of this series. Last up in Legends books, we have The Clone Wars Wild Space by Karen Miller. It follows Senator Bail Organa as he teams up with Obi-Wan Kenobi as they're on the hunt for a Sith holocron, but the mission turns out to be a trap. Obi-Wan becomes wounded and must overcome his distrust of politicians in order to escape. The two form a friendship that becomes critical to the fate of the galaxy. Although this novel is self-contained, it ties in very neatly with both Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars series. Don't worry, comic readers, we have you covered as well. Now we're going to talk about Clone Wars Volume 7, When They Were Brothers. This one is by W. Hayden Blackman and Miles Lane. There are 9 installments to the Dark Horse Republic series, but the 7th one makes the best case for being the most important. In it, Obi-Wan recruits Anakin to hunt down Asajj Ventress. It gives a glimpse into how the relationship between former Master and Padawan has changed, and we see even more glimpses into Anakin's flirtation with the dark side. The title of the volume echoes Obi-Wan's later line, "And you are my brother." That line only hits harder after seeing the pair at the peak of their power before the Battle of Coruscant. The arc does diverge a little bit from the last few seasons of the Clone Wars, but it's entertaining nonetheless. So these are 10 titles that take place during the Attack of the Clones era, and it's barely scratching the surface of all the stories out there. So if you're an Attack of the Clones fan, don't worry, you have plenty of reading ahead of you. Make sure to check out utini.com for more resources as you continue to build your Star Wars library. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Discord to talk all things Attack of the Clones and more throughout the Star Wars universe. And as always, may the Force be with you.